What's happening, family? It's your man Maarifa. Black at y'all once again on this Independence Day. Just kicking back, enjoying a nice cohiba, you dig, from Mexico. Our friends at Mexico. So just out on the deck getting some of this sun rays. Hitting this stogie a little bit, thinking, reminiscing on what this day means, for a lot of people and what this whole holiday encompasses. Thinking about the history of this holiday that we call Independence Day. Now, this may come as a shock to some, or it may ruffle some feathers, but truth kind of does that to people. You dig? Truth, it ruffles some feathers, but truth has to be told, or else the lie will then become the truth. So we don't want the lie to become the truth, so we're going to tell the truth today. Independence Day really wasn't for black people, okay? When the founding white European colonizers of this country, of this nation, came over here and took this land, they declared themselves independent in 1776. They fought a revolutionary war. Now, this is historical facts. A revolutionary war was fought by the new Americans, white Europeans who were calling themselves Americans, and they were fighting their cousins, the British. Now, they were trying to be free from the British rule and the Queen of England and all the taxations and the religious rulings and the religious control that was over them. And they wanted to be free from that, these white Europeans. So they declared themselves, they took a vote in Congress and declared themselves independent. And they called themselves, the 13 colonies, called themselves the United States of America. Now, I say that this Independence Day, July 4th, is not for black people in America. A lot of Negropeans, they won't understand what I'm saying. But what I'm trying to tell you is when they declared themselves to be independent, emancipated, and free from the tyranny of their cousins, the Queen Mother of England and the British Empire, that didn't include your black ass. You did? Your ancestors, that means your grandfather, your grandmother, your great-grandmother, your great-grandfather, they were still working in the cotton fields. They were still working in the tobacco fields. They were still out there working in the big house. You did? Back in 1776, when they all kicked it off. Now, it wasn't until 89 years later. 89. That's one generation. That means your granddaddy had to die. He didn't even see freedom. He died a slave. Your grandmama, she died a slave if she was here during that time. In 1776. Took 89 years for them to add the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. Now keep in mind, it wasn't a Constitution, it was an amendment to the Constitution, which calls all black people to be free from slavery and servitude and all this, that, and the third. That happened in 1865. So the first Independence Day happened in 1776. That was for the white Europeans, liberating themselves from the British Empire. It didn't mean your ancestors, if you were black African, was free or liberated or independent, because they were still slaves in this country, in America. Okay? So while y'all out there popping fireworks, lighting your sparkles, shooting off your skyrockets, you know, and barbecuing on the grill, you dig, and putting your meats out there and cooking and putting your stuff together, I want you to remember, keep in mind that this holiday was not intended for your people. If you are black, if you're melanated, okay? It's not intended for your people. This is intended for the white Europeans, who are descendants of those who came over here and declared themselves free from Mother England, okay? Your ancestors' independence didn't come until 1865. And then, at that time, they declared it because the Civil War that occurred a few years prior to 1865, the Civil War that the brothers, the white European brothers, were fighting against each other because they could not agree on whether or not slavery should continue in this country and continue to make them wealthy or not. So that was a whole economic struggle, an economic battle between the South and the North. You dig? So the freeing of the slaves was not by choice. They didn't want to free the slaves, technically. They didn't want to free our people. They would prefer that we stayed as slaves. But their brothers in the South were making so much money off the backs of our people. From the cotton industry to the tobacco industry to railroad crosses and construction and agriculture and growing of foods and products, all of that servitude, that they had to end it in order to cut their money stream off. So that's why they went to war. That's why your ancestors then became free. It was a strategic military move to free the slaves. It wasn't about, hey, we doing wrong and slavery is not right, it's inhumane, or it's not just, or it's not equal and fair to these people or these Africans, and why are we treating them this way? And they wasn't thinking like that. They was thinking like, oh, they making too much money, so we need to go ahead and make a move to get rid of their financial source so they can have no more resources to fight wars against us. You dig? So when you study history, real history, you'll know. And you won't be caught up in the matrix of celebrating all of this false and fake, holidays that they have on the calendar. I ain't celebrating that, y'all. I'm just gonna chill out and enjoy this day off. You dig? If they're gonna give me a day off, I'm gonna take it. Okay? That's cool with me. But I ain't out there popping no fireworks. I ain't barbecuing on the grill. I ain't waving no American flags. Doing all of that patriotic stuff for what? The holiday had nothing to do with my people. Yeah, we got free later on as a strategic move of military war through the 13th Amendment, but even that had a caveat. You dig? So you're free as long as you're not a criminal. But if you commit a crime and go to jail, guess what? You right back in slave in jail. You're a criminal and you're a slave, once again, according to the 13th Amendment. Read it. It's in there. And then in 1868, they made the 14th Amendment, which gave everybody citizenship. Dig, black people citizenship, and then they gave us equal rights as citizens to the law, okay? To be able to be protected under the law as citizens. That's the 14th Amendment. That was in 1868. And then in 1870, they passed the 15th Amendment, which gave the black man the right to vote, because they figured that, hey, they need to use, the black man to increase their voting opportunities so they can get in office, in political office. You dig? And then, they use the black man to get the numbers so they can get in office and get the votes, because the Constitution set it up that way. They had to vote them in, okay? So another strategic move. They used the black man once again, So if you think about it and you read the laws and you read and you study history, you'll know all of these facts. And you won't be fooled by all of the matrix and the stuff that goes on in the matrix. Yeah, I used to be caught up in the matrix back in the day. I didn't really understand or study as a young man, the history and all the things that occurred. I didn't really know. I was being dumb, following all the rest of the trends like everybody else, barbecuing and popping fireworks and all of that back in the day. But now that I'm older, more mature, conscious and awake, I'm aware. I'm aware of what's going on. So now I'm trying to enlighten you so you can also know and be aware and know your history, so you can teach your kids and let them know that, hey, this holiday ain't about us. You know what your holiday is, black people? Let me tell you. You missed your Independence Day if you didn't celebrate Juneteenth. June 19th, okay, 1865. That was the last day that the last slaves found out that they were free in Texas. Okay, so the 13th Amendment was passed in January 1865. So it took 6 months more for them to get that news and information throughout the entire country. Back then wasn't no internet, all right? So they had slow, messaging or whatever, I don't know. But I'm gonna tell you what, the state of Texas got 6 more months of free labor, which they never paid for, out of black people. Because them black folks back then in Texas was still in them cotton fields, picking cotton, picking tobacco, working in the big house, being in them fields, getting whipped down by the man. And then, you got black codes and Jim Crow laws that followed that, and the Ku Klux Klan and all of that stuff that followed. So they continued their whole white supremacy throughout the country. They continued all of that to keep the free labor, the free cheap slave labor. Then they locked a bunch of black people up like they locking black people up in droves today, making them slaves once again under the Constitution. And you think that's by coincidence? No, it's by design. So, like I said, educate yourself, because the truth is out there. And you seek it, you'll find the truth. And once you find the truth, you'll free your mind from this matrix, and you'll be free. You won't have to deal with all the nonsense. You dig? So, with that being said, just wanted to drop that little message for you on this Independence Day, they call it. Educate some of you black folks, let you know what the real deal is. All right. So this has been another Maarifa video, another Maarifa moment. Hopefully you enjoy your day and relax and kick back. Enjoy your day off, okay? This ain't no holiday for us, black people. Just keeping it real, 100. No disrespect to nobody, but just 100 for real, all right? Love and light. Peace.